Have you ever wondered what it truly takes for a father to give his daughter a life he never had? This is the story of Rajesh, an auto rickshaw driver in the bustling streets of Mumbai, and his daughter, Kavya, a girl whose voice would one day silence the harshest critic in the world. Their journey from the crowded lanes of the city to the grand stage of Britain's Got Talent is a story of sacrifice, faith, and a moment that left Simon Cowell completely speechless. This video is going to touch your heart in ways you won't expect. Before we begin, if you believe in the power of dreams and the love of parents, please subscribe to Golden Buzzer Stories and join our family. We bring you the most emotional and inspiring stories from around the world, and we don't want you to miss even one. Rajesh had been driving his auto rickshaw on the same Mumbai routes for over 20 years. Every morning, before the sun could paint the sky, he would leave his small home in the Dharavi slums, his faithful black and yellow vehicle his only source of income. His world was simple, consisting of picking up fares, navigating the chaotic traffic, and dreaming of a better life for his daughter, Kavya. Kavya was his only child, born after years of hoping, and she was the light of his existence. Their home was a single room, barely large enough for a bed and a small kitchen, but it was filled with the sounds of Kavya singing. From the time she could talk, she would hum tunes she heard on the radio, her voice a soothing balm for Rajesh after his long, tiring days. He noticed early on that her voice was special, different from other children. It had a purity, a depth that seemed to carry the emotions of the songs she sang. When Kavya was 10 years old, a local music teacher happened to ride in Rajesh's auto. He heard Kavya singing along to a song playing on a nearby shop radio. The teacher was stunned. He told Rajesh that this was not just a child singing, that she had a natural gift, a voice suited for something much greater than film songs. He spoke of something called opera, a style of singing Rajesh had never even heard of. The teacher explained that with proper training, Kavya could go far, but the training was expensive, very expensive. That night, Rajesh sat on the steps outside his home, looking at the stars. He thought about the fees, the books, the special classes. He was a man who earned just enough to survive. But then he looked inside and saw Kavya sleeping peacefully, and he knew he had to try. From that day, Rajesh's life became a double shift. He started driving his auto for longer hours, often starting before dawn and not returning until well past midnight. He stopped taking breaks for chai and biscuits, saving every single rupee he could. He would eat the simplest food, never complaining, always thinking of Kavya's future. He found a music teacher who agreed to take Kavya as a student, and the lessons began. Every weekend, Rajesh would personally take Kavya to her class, waiting outside in his auto for 2 hours, listening to the faint sounds of her voice from the window. He didn't understand the Italian words she was learning, but he understood the emotion. He could hear his daughter's soul in those notes, and it made all his exhaustion disappear. The years passed in this rhythm of struggle and song. Kavya grew from a little girl into a young woman, her voice growing stronger and more beautiful with each passing year. Rajesh's auto became older, the seats worn, the paint faded, but he refused to buy a new one. Every spare rupee went into Kavya training. There were days when the family had very little to eat, but Kavya never knew because her father would always make sure she had her meal first. He would often say he had eaten at a friend's house just so she would not worry. His health began to suffer from the long hours and poor food, but he never mentioned his aches and pains to her. His dream was not for himself but to see his daughter on a big stage, to have the world hear what he heard every day. The opportunity came sooner than they expected. Rajesh saw an advertisement for the auditions of Britain's Got Talent, which were being held in Mumbai for the first time. It was a long shot, a crazy dream, but he showed it to Kavya. She was terrified. Who was she, a slum girl, to sing on a global stage? But Rajesh looked at her with eyes full of hope and said, "Beta, you have a gift. You owe it to the world to share it." They barely had enough money for the application, but they managed. When the call came for the audition, it felt like a miracle. They took the cheapest train to the venue, Rajesh insisting on carrying Kavya a heavy bag so she would not be tired. The day of the audition was overwhelming for Kavya. The huge auditorium, the bright lights, the important-looking people, it was all so different from her small music room. She saw other contestants dressed in expensive clothes, looking confident and prepared. She felt small and out of place. When her name was called, she walked onto the stage, her heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. She saw the judges, Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, Alicia Dixon, and David Williams, sitting behind their desk, their faces unreadable. She looked for her father in the crowd and finally spotted him in the very back, a small man in a simple shirt, giving her a thumbs up. That gesture, that simple sign of his unwavering faith, calmed her nerves. She took a deep breath and signaled to the pianist to begin. What came out of Kavya's mouth in the next few minutes was nothing short of extraordinary. She sang an aria from an Italian opera, a piece about a heart breaking with love and longing. The music started soft and gentle, and Kavya's voice floated through the hall like a whisper from heaven. The audience, who had been chatting and fidgeting, fell completely silent. Amanda Holden leaned forward, her eyes wide with surprise. As the song built to its powerful climax, Kavya's voice soared, filling every corner of the auditorium with a sound so pure and so powerful that it seemed to touch the very soul of everyone present. Alicia Dixon put her hand to her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. David Williams sat completely still, mesmerized. And then, the cameras focused on Simon Cowell. Simon, known for his blunt and often harsh critiques, the man who had made countless contestants cry, was visibly moved. He did not lean back with a skeptical look. He leaned forward, his chin resting on his hand, his eyes fixed on Kavya with an expression of pure wonder. As Kavya hit the final, breathtaking high note that seemed to hang in the air like a star, Simon Cowell's eyes widened. He slowly shook his head, not in disappointment, but in disbelief. For the first time in Britain's Got Talent history, Simon Cowell looked completely and utterly stunned. He looked at the other judges, who were already on their feet, applauding wildly, tears streaming down their faces. The entire auditorium erupted in a standing ovation, a wave of sound and emotion that washed over Kavya, who stood on stage, trembling and crying. The judges exchanged looks, and without a word, Simon Cowell reached for the golden buzzer. He pressed it firmly, and golden confetti rained down from the ceiling, covering Kavya in a shower of gold. It was the ultimate honor, the highest recognition the show could give. Simon stood up, and for once, he had no clever words. He simply said, "That was one of the most beautiful things I have ever heard." And then he asked the question everyone was wondering. Where did you learn to sing like that? Kavya, tears mixing with the confetti on her face, pointed to the back of the hall where her father stood, an old man in a worn shirt, sobbing openly into his hands. She said, "My father. He drove his auto rickshaw for 20 years, day and night, to pay for my lessons. He gave me everything. I am his dream." Simon Cowell walked onto the stage, something he rarely does. He approached Kavya and then walked with her towards the back of the auditorium. The cameras followed as he reached Rajesh, the simple auto driver. Simon extended his hand and said, "Sir, you are a hero. What you have done for your daughter is the most incredible thing I have seen on this show." The moment was so powerful, so raw and real, that there was not a dry eye in the house. Rajesh, overwhelmed with emotion, could only bow his head and hold his daughter tight. In that moment, the years of struggle, the missed meals, the sleepless nights, it all became worth it. He had given his daughter a voice, and that voice had just spoken to the world. As we come to the end of this incredible journey, I want to ask you something. From which part of the country are you watching this video today? Are you from a big city like Mumbai or Delhi, or a small town where dreams are just as big? Tell us in the comments below. We read every single comment, and we want to know where our Golden Buzzer family is watching from. Your stories inspire us to bring you more stories like this. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the greatest talents come from the most unexpected places, powered by the purest love.